All right, this is John Carrots. I'm here on OSH Radio, and today we're here with Oak from Nigeria, West Africa, and he's one of my fellow transhumanists. Now, he said best to call him Oak, but if you wanted to give everybody your full name, and then he was telling me about what he does and about the TAFFD. And I just wanted, instead of having him say it twice, might as well have him say it once, and everybody know what he's doing and why he does it. And he's doing some great things there. So go ahead.
Okay, thank you, John, for this wonderful opportunity. I'm Osinakachi Akuma Kalu from the Eastern Nigeria. Okay, I'm the founder of TFDS, Transitionary Agora for Future Discussions. One of Currently, I'm the Secretary General, and the CEO and President of TAFFD is Tom Annex Rose, and the Vice President is Breda Ramokopera. So we started TFDS a couple of years ago, and we've been trying to see a way of preparing people's minds for the future, and we think that a single-based approach is not good enough in approaching a future study. And we said, okay, how is the best way to do that? We chose a transdisciplinary approach. And how did the name Agora come to play? Agora is the Greek word for marketplace. People go and buy things for transaction. And we say, okay, bring your idea on board. Let's look at it, evaluate it, and say, okay, we can say after assessment, we say, okay, this is good. And that's why interdisciplinary Agora for future discussion, we have people from all walks of life, all fields of studies, and from all parts of the world. So it is an Agora where people just come share their knowledge links and everything about the future. And the most interesting and one of our major concerns is the ethical usage and application of science and technology. So when we came to Africa after registering in South Africa, we said, okay, what is the most basic problem of Africa? In South Africans, they are not poor as people think that they are. Because if you look at the history of Africa, you see they're suffering from things from the plague of colonization, which all of us know that Africa was despoiled by the colonial masters. So, owing to this, there are many conceptions, there are many perceptions, there are many definitions that people are given to Africa. Most people see Africa as a danger zone. Most people see Africa as a hungry people. Thereby, if you check very well, we have concepts like Africans, people who love Africa. We have Afri-spoilers, people who come to despoil Africa. We have Afri-phobes, people who see Africa as a danger zone. And then we have Afri-cynics, we have Afri-tourists, people who see Africa as a tourist center because some persons believe that Africa is still in her Philistine state, in her natural state. So they come there to see nature as it is in its real essence. Okay, now coming down to that, okay, what can we give Africa? It's a knowledge. How can we get that? Because I believe that the highest form of poverty is poverty of the mind. And for me, when you talk about someone being primitive or someone not being to evolve, I look at it from my definition of someone being evolved is people's level of consciousness. So someone's level of consciousness also on the person's definition of reality and approach towards reality. And we say, okay, the best way is to feed people's minds with knowledge, democratizing knowledge, making it accessible to people. And just as people crowdfund, we will go out to crowdsource intelligence, make it in a package it in a self-paced model so that people can have access to let's say, if not sufficient intelligence, some degree of intelligence. Then,
Yeah, yeah, I like that because it reminds me of what people say about happiness too. Wealth, wealth and happiness also are kind of subjective. And what one person might think of happiness as wealth is not necessarily the same thing to another person. But I do think, being a science-based person like I am myself, I do think that knowledge is one of the most important things for both wealth and happiness in life. And so I think that is great ideas. And it's what is your background that brought you to do this, though? What personally, and what is your background as far as your life that has brought you to this point?
oh, okay. Well, my background, I started off. Okay, my high school, I wanted to be a medical doctor, but I don't, I don't have the mind to withstand wounds and stuff like that, accidents and stuff like that. I said, okay, I have to change because of the things that is happening uh, in Nigeria and all that. I said, okay, I'll be a lawyer. At a point, to change my mind. So due to the educational settings, writing jam and all that, changed my mind, and I later got admission in the Polytechnic to study business administration and management. So later, after being employed by First Bank Nigerian PLC from 2012, 2011 to 12, I resigned to go and study philosophy. So it was during my philosophy days that I started to hearing about futurism, transhumanism, and stuff like that. So I started researching, and I started searching for transhumanism on Facebook, sending friend requests to you guys, and that motivated me. And one thing that what one of the things that drew me closer to transhumanism is this. When you look at the motto of Transhumanist Party, you will see putting science and technology in forefront of American politics. Putting science and technology in forefront of politics. So that's an interesting thing. Most people don't take serious. The politicians think that is all about. Most politicians see politics as an adventure, as a kind of business. They don't even understand that humanity should be first. When you look at what is happening with some of the world leaders, they are interested on uh, their keen interest is the image of their party and their own image. They don't talk about how it really affects the people. The cardinal plans and principles of the political party is their ultimate concern. So when I started studying philosophy, started advancing in life, meeting people who are people with better understanding and interpretation of reality, uh, I said to myself, there is nothing like a single base approach. I've been a transitionary activist. I like collective responsibility. I like collaboration. I like discussions where we share our ideas. From there, we now say, okay, this is better. You know, that's why TFDS TFDS is a transitionary agora for future discussion. So I love discussions. I like transitionary approach. I like hearing what others have to say about reality.
I think it's interesting. It's funny. I started out in college to be a doctor myself, and it was I had first I got a chemistry degree as my pre-med degree, and I decided I didn't want to have to worry about people dying on me, and I didn't want to have to worry about those life and death decisions. although through life you kind of end up making life death decisions for people in other ways anyhow. But so I went into environmental engineering, got my bachelor's and master's, and I had started my doctorate originally in public policy, political science. Did not get accepted in that, but I had started going that way. And I do agree with you about politicians, and they don't always realize sometimes the importance of science and also technology. And sometimes that's things that are frustrating to me too, when people say, why are we wasting money on the space program? Why are we wasting money on this? And people forget that in the old days, there was a lot of technology that we use today that came out of the space program that we use in everyday life that has made our life better. And I think it's going to be the same thing with going back to the moon and trying to go to Mars. I think there's going to be a lot of technology that they're going to be developed. It's going to have a lot of different effects. I even think it might have effects on, like I had mentioned, I had a stroke 2 months ago. I had lost the use of my left side, but I got it back. Still not the greatest, but it's okay. It feels a little funny. But Alzheimer's is a big problem, and dementia. And I think when they're working on ways to make sure that man can travel through space for longer periods of time and their brain still stays functional, I would put money on the fact that a lot of that technology and science we're going to find is going to help people with other health problems and mental problems that we have today indirectly. And I think that's a pity people don't realize that. But as human beings, we have a lot of quests for exploring and doing things. And it's when we do that, we develop other ways to help our families and our futures and our fellow man. And I think that's something they miss a lot of times. Sometimes I'm also very frustrated with the fact that everybody talks about industry, like in the United States, and how we're losing that, and they want to bring back this industry and that industry. Those times are gone. And to be honest with you, the United States was an industrial nation for a very short period of time. Mostly, we were a farming nation. We were not an industrial nation. For the length of this country, we've mostly been a farming nation. And people seem to forget that. And, like you said, politicians, a lot of times in politics, I hate to say it's kind of like statisticians. The joke about statisticians is that statistics can be used to support everything, including statisticians. And I think politicians are busy supporting politicians a lot of times and not really helping the people with everything. I think sometimes people that get into politics might get into it for the right reasons, but then eventually they're eaten up by the machine and lose those reasons, which is a pity. But I do find it interesting that originally you wanted to be a doctor. That just tells me that you always wanted to try and help somebody, so that's in your personality there. What do you see next, maybe doing, moving ahead with the TAFFD? What do you think the next big things you'd want to do with that, and where are you looking to go maybe in the future, or hoping that they will go in the future?
The future is now. The future starts now. So, and our major concern is to look at the people who will help us in the administrative process, and there is no exact qualification for someone to do that. It's all about goodwill and the ability to sacrifice time for this noble cause. So we are also looking for support of any kind, and we need people to help us in the administrative process of the academy of the future. So the academy is not the only asset that we have. We have our quarterly journal. Can you hear me? We have our quarterly journal for academic papers. We have our annual magazine. We have the African Town Hall, virtual African Town Hall meeting, where we get speakers from all parts of Africa to discuss issues about the future. Most people always talk about what they think would be good for Africa, but it would be nice for us to hear from Africa what they think is good for them. So that is something that most uh, politicians don't know, and most investors, and that's the great mistake the Gate was making. And if you check, most of the money that uh, uh, NGOs in, in Europe and America uh, give to uh, uh, map out to help Africa, they give it to the government, and the government looks those money. So, but since we are building the gateway in and out of Africa, we need to we are thinking of getting those money and solving African problems. Since we are Africa, we know our problems and we are dialoguing with people, we are reaching out to people, we are discussing with institutions and corporates. So that is it. So we are looking at our greatest project now is at Academy and in a way of sponsoring people. If we build the academy, we will see a way of sponsoring people, giving out scholarships to people so that they learn this. So they don't necessarily need to go to traditional universities. Traditional universities have failed a lot of persons. You know, it's not about your degree, but what you're capable of doing. So most of these entrepreneurs, I think the best thing, the definition of education uh, is poorly narrowed. I think the see most people define schooling to be education, not knowing that schooling is just an aspect of education. So education has the character formation and integral approach in understanding and interpreting reality. So I think the Academy of the Future is going to be the best way for us to democratize knowledge. And it will also consist of vocational training, skill, so that people can improve on their skill set. You know, everybody must not be a university graduate. So we need to equip
That's okay.
people.
Being a, like that, I hate to say it though, but I work I work different jobs, and just because you have an education doesn't mean you're intelligent. It just doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
mean you're intelligent. In the same way, you can be very intelligent and have no formal education. Uh, so yeah, the education doesn't really necessarily have to matter. It means that you've been through the system, but it doesn't always mean that it doesn't mean that you're a free thinker. You might be very rigid. Some people that go through systems are very rigid thinkers. They can't think out of the box, like they always say. So sometimes it's best if they're not formally educated. They might think differently
Yeah.
and think a whole different route than someone else would think. So that shouldn't hold someone back.
So that's it. So we are also trying to see a way of pushing up our the margin and all that things. These are a couple of projects that we are doing, and we hope to collaborate with universities across Africa to offer courses based on singularity, AI, nanotechnology, and stuff like that. And I'm interested in developing things like individually prepared growth as courses like abundance, politics of abundance and stuff like that. It's just a way of helping Africa to leapfrog.
I tell you, I see it's getting dark there. I said I'd keep this short because of it getting dark. We're almost at 20 minutes. I will put a whole bunch of links, like they always say, down below when I post this so people can find out more stuff. Me and you will stay on talking a little bit afterwards. It's getting dark, and I promise I won't keep you on too long. Anything you'd want to say in ending or in closing?
Yeah, I think we are open for collaboration, partnership, sponsorship, and promotions. And if you want to know more about SARS, you can write to info uh, um, at tfds.org, or you can also visit www.tfds.org to know more about what we do and how we do that. We are
Well,
available
thank
on
you very
Facebook,
much.
LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah, I'll put links down here in the main link, and links to you also, so people can reach out and find out more, and hopefully
Okay.
collaborate. I always like collaboration. I think anytime you can make something a win-win, where both parties come away gaining something from it, I think is some of the best things. So I'll let you go for now, and hopefully we'll have you back another time for
Okay.
another interview. And me and you will talk a
Okay.
little bit right after this ourselves. And thank you again. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, John.